What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode. So today what I want to touch base on was a little bit of Q&A that I had with somebody after installing and doing the review of the TurboSmart compact dual window blow-off valve, whatever you want to call it. So if you do your research on blow-off valves for the Ford Focus RS, you'll see that a lot of people need to make use of what is called the boost reference adapter. And what that does is it replaces the connection of the solenoid that is mounted on top of your valve cover. So instead of having manifold pressure go from a hose up to that solenoid, which helps to measure pressure, which then the system would regulate how much boost the turbo is getting. You would then replace this and this would go straight to the turbo. So it would be a manifold and PCV connection. So all of that pressure would then be properly moderated as the turbo charges your system. Some people have opted to go for a flat out blow-off valve instead of a recirculative blow-off valve. The difference, you say? Well, the difference is, one, you get that nice whoosh or the whenever you release off of the gas pedal during a shift. The other one is it's kind of the same thing, but instead of hearing it externally, it happens internally. So you'll still have those windows at the bottom of the plumbing, but instead of coming out to atmosphere, it'll recirculate down and back into the system. Now there is a negative to a diverter valve. A diverter valve, although it maintains and keeps a continuous airflow, you also create a more violent and less reliable flow of air going into the charge pipe, if that's, depending on where it's located. And it's because, if your window is inside this pipe, when the window opens to release, it comes down and then it meets the currently flowing air and it creates a more volatile situation. Whereas in a blow-off valve, as that air is passing through, the windows are opening. It's allowing out any excess air that the system does not need. So it's actually creating a smoother path of airflow, which then when that shuts, you get that, or depending on how you have it set up, I like that. So in the case of the RS, you can get an turbo mounted blow-off valve and not have to worry about the additional tubing that, say a company like CPE or maybe HKS would provide, because it's already attached to the turbo and it's nowhere near that solenoid. The difference is that you would probably have boost creep. So as you're boosting or as you're driving, it'll constantly keep relieving itself, even though there's no reason to. Whereas for the TurboSmart dual compact blow-up valve, that maintains two functions. It maintains the diverter valve. So depending on how tight or how loosely you have that set, it has the recirculative property. So let's say you're driving and you're shifting under 3,000 miles or 3,000 RPM, right? You are not going to have that blow off attribute. Now, if you get on it, then what's going to happen is once you release that pedal, then you're going to have your blow off and you're going to have any waste, any additional air that is not needed distributing out to atmosphere. And there's one more part that comes along with it. When you are driving at a certain point, kind of in between boost and vacuum, if you just kind of hold it in that neutral zone for a little bit, you will have some boost bleed out. But once you get on the throttle a little bit harder, that sound and that bleeding of boost will go away. So having the boost reference adapter does not hurt you, having it or not having it. It'll just pretty much be annoying, because if you have a true blow-off valve where it has no recirculative features whatsoever, it's gonna go off all the time. Even if you are shifting gears at like $2,000 in minimal pressure, it's gonna go off. Versus going off at higher gears once you've applied significant pressure to the system. With a blow-off valve, you will also accelerate much better, because as we talked about before, you're not creating that volatility in the system. Whereas with the diverter valve, you'll still have good acceleration, but it may not be as good as it could be because you are creating volatility in the system. So as of right now, where I have my combination valve set, I tightened it down to where if I don't gun it under $4,000, or let's say 3.5. If I don't gun it under $3.5 or I don't get up to $3.5, it's not gonna go off. It'll just be a normal recirculative system where I shift and you might hear a little bit of the air kind of releasing, but that's it. You know what I mean? You'll hear the vacuum of the air system kind of take effect. But then when I really get on it and you have that 3.5 to maybe 5 or 6 grand, that's where you hear the whole blow off effect. I do think that it might help in a steadier sound from the blow-off valve, but it really hasn't been proven yet, because I've seen a bunch of guys who have installed this product and they just go out and they just gun it and it works just fine. Setting it to where you want probably plays a bigger factor than people realize, because the Turbo Smart combination blow-off diverter valve is adjustable. If you guys watched the last video that I did for it when I installed it, which I'll put up here, I did point out for the unboxing and the install that if you turn it one way, it'll tighten down the spring, and if you turn it the other way, it'll loosen the spring. If you guys go look back at the last 2 videos I made regarding the Turbo Smart compact blow-off and diverter valve, which I'll post up at the top, the unboxing and the install, it's got the window up on top, and then on the front of it, where the hose nipple is, you can see that you can adjust the tension on the spring. So if you spin the cap one way, it'll tighten. If you spin the cap the other way, it'll loosen. So that's also going to play a big difference in when the system goes off versus not. So until I feel the necessity to install that boost reference actuator, I'm probably just gonna leave it out. I would probably say, my system is running about 22.5 pounds of pressure. I would probably say 25 PSI would probably be the threshold to where I would probably need to put in that reference adapter. And that's only running the Turbo Smart blow-off valve, not the Boomba or an HKS or something else, or CPE, something like that, where it's going to be mounted externally and you have to have that blow-off valve, because you can run both. You can run a diverter, a simple plumb back diverter valve, right, and also have an additional externally mounted blow-off valve. Some people have done it, and typically they mount it underneath the throttle body so that it doesn't interfere with the readings, but you still have to disconnect all the hosing and yada yada yada. So yeah, so that's it for this one. There are some pretty good videos out there of guys installing the BRA into the Ford Focus RS, and it helps them out for the reasons that I stated. You can go check those guys out, and all you gotta do is type into the searches Ford Focus boost reference adapter. That's it. And about 3 or 4 guys will come up. So I'm gonna leave that one off here. I hope you guys learned something. Don't forget to like, comment, share, and as always, wrench daily.